All right. Thank you. Good evening, governing board members, student board member, President Mr. Messina, Superintendent Dr. Vieira, and Cabinet. Thank you, as always, for your time and attention. John, as you know, is still recuperating. He's been in quite a bit of pain in the evenings, especially. So I'm here again tonight, my last, hopefully my last. Hopefully we'll get John back in 2026. But here once again in my role as the HDTA first vice president. Want to start with good things, start with the positive. First, thank you to Dr. Nielsen and Dr. Vieira. We went back and forth a little bit on the need for 2 full-time assistant principals at all of our junior highs, including Rancho Pico and Plaza Rita. After careful consideration, we are thrilled that those students and staff will now have the same full-time support as every other junior high in the district. That's a big deal, and I've already heard a lot of gratitude and relief from staff at both sites, so thank you. The business office and HDTA were recently able to work together to push CalSTRS to find a solution to what could have been a pretty serious retirement crisis for our members. So thank you to John Carino for coordinating to push for that fix, making sure that it's done accurately, and for keeping us all informed of your progress. So thank you, John. To our board members who continue to visit school sites, thank you. Dr. Moore, it was wonderful having you in my Rio TV classroom yesterday. One teacher who recently had a board visit wrote in their comments, come to more classes and check out what we're doing. Students love seeing faces from the district. It motivates them and makes them feel seen. So thank you. I would like to extend that invitation to come visit not only to board members, but to cabinet as well. Dr. Vieira, a teacher at West Ranch, messaged me yesterday and said we would love to see Dr. Vieira come visit. So that's West Ranch. I know your schedules are all full, but the more time you are able to spend at school sites where the decisions you make here are felt in real time, the more that students and staff will feel seen and heard simply through the warmth of your presence. Speaking of warmth, that's my transition. Saugus High School continues to struggle with HVAC issues. One teacher shared screenshots of work orders. This is Vince's cue, thank you. One teacher shared screenshots of work orders dating back to 2021. In the M building, the HVAC has to be manually turned on, so in the hotter months, the AC doesn't start automatically, and now in the colder months, teachers are walking into classrooms that are nearly as cold as the outside air. Yesterday morning, it was 49 degrees in Saugus, and a teacher in the Q building, she literally keeps a stockpile of blankets in her room because the HVAC will turn on, but the furnace doesn't, and so on cold mornings, it's blowing cold air into the classroom. These are not only cold working conditions for teachers, but cold learning conditions for students. If this were Victorian England and we were Bob Cratchit from A Christmas Carol, trying to keep it seasonal, we might ask for another lump of coal to stay warm, but in 2025, we simply need these HVAC systems repaired or replaced. So let's join forces to make that happen for the students and the staff of Saugus High School. And now, because storytelling is humanity's oldest form of communication, I'm going to share another story. Let me take you to a familiar and relatable scene in the Santa Clarita Valley. It's the spring. Student athletes are gearing up for the next school year, getting their summer conditioning schedules, and like clockwork, it's time for their annual physical exam. Now imagine our local SCV medical community looking at the sheer volume of students needing a physical exam and deciding to pull ER doctors and nurses out of the emergency room to handle these routine exams. Why? Because they're highly trained, they are among the most qualified medical professionals in town, and yes, they can do physicals, but they shouldn't, because their real job is to be in the ER saving lives. Every spring during the first 2 weeks of May, our schools administer AP exams. To our credit, all of us, more students in the Heart District are taking AP courses than ever before. That also includes many students with 504 plans and IEPs who require specialized rooms, timing accommodations, and additional supports. And the number of students testing with approved accommodations has expanded dramatically, requiring more testing rooms, many more proctors, and far more coordination than even a decade ago. The level of AP testing has increased dramatically since I was an AP student in this district way back in the 1900s. In 2005, our high schools offered roughly 10 AP subjects. In 2025, we offer about 20. The number of AP exams we administer has doubled, and every one of those additional subjects requires its own trained proctor. With that growth comes a level of staffing complexity that simply did not exist 20 years ago. And here's where that complexity becomes a real challenge. At several of our high schools, counselors have been told that they will need to proctor 2 or maybe even 3 or potentially more AP exams this coming season. That's 4 hours per exam per counselor during one of the busiest and most stressful times of the year for our students. Why pull counselors? Because they're highly trained, they understand AP procedures, and they can do the job. But just like pulling ER doctors for physical exams is not best practice, neither is pulling counselors for AP exams. Because here's the reality. School counselors save lives. This is not hyperbole. The CDC reports that youth anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation have climbed significantly in the past 5 years. We've been talking about student mental health this evening. This is a national trend, and we feel it here in our own community. Spring is one of the peak periods for student stress. This is when crisis needs spike. This is a time when students lean most heavily on the trusted adults employed by our school district who know their stories and know their struggles. Our community trusts school counselors to care for our students, especially in their times of greatest need. And while AP exams matter, and believe me, this is personal for me, my own daughter, now in her first year of college, took 9 AP exams during her time at Canyon. AP exams matter, they are important. But our counselors are doing work that is often far more urgent than administering a test. And just like an emergency room, you cannot predict what crisis may come through the doors of the counseling office. When we pull counselors out of their offices for hours at a time, the impact is felt immediately. They are less available to respond when a crisis emerges. If a student says, "I need my counselor right now," we can pull them out of a meeting, but we can't easily pull them out of an AP proctoring situation. And even outside of crisis response, when we pull counselors for AP testing, they miss regular check-ins with students, matriculation IEP, schedule planning, group support settings, getting seniors on track for graduation. They lose the time they need to finalize schedules for incoming 9th graders so every student can start their high school career on the right foot. I have heard from counselors at multiple sites across our district. It's not an isolated situation. And all of us, HDTA and the district, knew this was a pressure point, which is why in our most recent contract update, we negotiated clearer language together. That language says that non-classroom educators, like counselors, may only be used as test proctors after every effort has been made to secure other options first. Both teams agreed to this language because the counseling role is sacred, and both sides agreed it was important to put clear protections in place. Right now, in December, counselors are already being plugged into proctoring spots for May. And the concern is simple. It's clear we haven't yet exhausted every effort in December for exams that will not incur until May. But here's the good news. This is solvable. We don't need to wait until April and scramble. We can build a plan that protects AP testing, supports students, and honors the contract that both sides agreed to and that the governing board adopted. And here's one encouraging update that I just got a few hours ago. Vince shared that Cabinet has already begun following up with schools to ensure that AP proctoring aligns with the contract, and we're grateful for that quick attention. It shows how important it is that we keep working together on a clear district-wide plan for the spring. So let's build that plan in close consultation with our counselors. The phrase I talked about last time, I have a visual aid here, "nothing about us without us," means if you're going to make decisions that affect a particular group, students or staff or whoever it is, let's get them involved in making the plan. A realistic, workable approach to AP exam coverage can include trained paraeducators, classified staff, substitutes, and other support personnel who could serve as proctors. We can also look at hiring recently retired teachers who already have experience with testing. Some districts even tap AP teachers to proctor after their own exam has finished, since at that point instructional time is lighter for them. Now that option may or may not fit here, but it's an example of how other school districts expand their proctoring pool before having to lean on counselors. Counselors should only step in as a true last resort, and when that moment comes, they always do. A plan like this keeps the system steady and supports both our AP students and the broader school community. We're bringing this forward now so no one is scrambling in the spring, and so our AP students walk into their testing rooms confident that the system around them is strong, stable, and well-staffed. Our counselors are the ER doctors in this story. They're the steady presence that students look for when something feels overwhelming or uncertain. They are the ones who listen, de-escalate, plan, guide, and stand with families in moments when it matters most. Our counselors matter, and I'm glad that Todd is here. He's one of our counselors. They are essential, so let's keep them at the heart of student support where they belong. Every young person in the Heart District deserves our best planning, our best problem solving, and our best collaboration. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, John,